hosting Worlds in Eugene was not ideal based on losing the marquee time slot for the European audiences. What are your thoughts on Seb Coe kind of not saying such great things about Eugene hosting Worlds?
Well, it was about the time slot, though, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So did the time zones change between when Eugene was awarded the bid and when the meet took place?
Let me do my math. The leap year that one. Nope. Time zone. Oh, they did daylight savings change. Nope. Okay. Nope. It was the exact same time zone. Yeah.
So what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? This is totally known. We knew this was going to happen. We knew this was going to be an issue. Just in the same way you could say, well, U.S. rank ratings are going to be down when the meet is going to be in Europe or when it's in Daegu or when it's in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Of course, this was it.
Women's
Now, if
World
you want to
Cup is
make
in
a
the middle of the night for us.
right, and it's very, very hard to watch, even for people who are very interested in the event. It just requires a certain level of sacrifice that most of the sporting viewing public is not going to participate in. So I'm not surprised because they're having to review it. I looked at it more in the context of it's mentioned in the top of the article about how Eugene was supposed to kickstart this track and field renaissance in the United States. And you and I last year before the meet both said, slow down. Everybody needs to slow down.
Yeah.
This is not going to change anything. It's going to be an awesome meet that's in the U.S. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, you could have convinced me, but then between that, there was 4 or 5 years of pretty much everything staying the same in the world of track and field to know that this wasn't going to jumpstart anything new as it pertains to the sport in America.
Yeah. It was kind of weird. I mean, it made you think like, is USA never going to host a Worlds again as long as Seb Coe is in leadership at World Athletics? Obviously, they're going to host LA for the Olympics. But
Yeah,
that was my one concern is like, is now USA just out of the question for any future hosting of global championships because of the time zone? And they care so much about the European audience?
it was going to be out of it because you weren't going to put it back in Eugene, and where else are you going to put it? How many stadiums do we have that could do it? We've done this exercise before.
Well,
Des
LA.
Moines, Sacramento. Yeah, but that requires a lot of infrastructure. I mean, that's a temporary track inside of a stadium. Like it's not like
Well, I
permanent
was thinking that
infrastructure.
potentially
People are going to bid in
2029.
LA. Yeah, but who in LA is going to put together this massive bid and get together everything that needs to be pulled together to host this thing? I just
Well,
don't.
I just think, yeah,
I
but there's like a
it would
trend
need to.
that people who host the Olympics host Worlds like a few years later.
Sure. Okay, and maybe that's one possibility. The time zone is the same time zone. I just want to get this out there to people watching at World Athletics. The time zone is the same in LA as it is in Eugene. So if you're mad about the time zone in 2022, you're going to be mad about the time zone when you do it in LA if you do it. I just think it makes more sense when there's a bid attached to a city that's already hosting things or hosting USAs and hosting big events. And that's been Des Moines, that's been Sacramento, that's been Eugene. I know maybe it'd be Mount Sac. I don't know the specs on everything. So maybe it's not LA, but it's LA. I don't know. I don't know if they have the stadium specs to pull it off. I mean, people always name these big cities and then you say, okay, at what track and who's putting it together? And then it gets really quiet after that because I mean, the place I think that would be awesome to do it, but it won't happen is Penn.
Yeah.
And it won't happen at Penn because it doesn't meet all the requirements that you need for
Dude,
a world
the Penn
championship.
Stadium would be sold out. There would be 50,000 people every night.
Yeah, it would be great, and you gotta balance that with the railing and all this other stuff. That's like I just put on awesome races and people get pumped up about it. I know that they're not going to do that, but also Penn has dedicated people who are working year round putting on meets at Penn. Foremost among them, the Penn Relays, which everybody pretty much when they go do it, they love it for the atmosphere and the environment. Like that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a situation. And obviously Drake, that works because you have the Drake relays. You have that infrastructure in there. But I think Penn would be cool. You and I have talked about that before, but I doubt that would ever come up just because of the technical hurdles.
Yeah.